Let's get started. Start with listening, and then learn new words and practice them in sentences.
Have you ever wanted to share a story in English but didn't know how? You're not alone. Many English learners find it difficult to describe past experiences, from the most thrilling adventures to the most mundane, everyday incidents. Why is that? Because storytelling isn't just about knowing the words, it's about painting a picture with them. It's about taking your listener on a journey, making them see what you saw, feel what you felt. But don't fret, there's a method to the madness. In this video, we'll delve into the art of storytelling in English. We'll explore how to use the past simple and past continuous tenses, and how to incorporate phrases like, "I'll never forget when," and "it was the best, worst day of my life." We'll also practice using time expressions such as last year, a few weeks ago, and when I was younger. By the end of this video, you'll be more confident in sharing your stories in English. To describe experiences and share stories, we need to understand the basics. At the heart of sharing your past experiences are two fundamental tenses, the past simple and past continuous. The past simple is used for actions that happened at a specific time in the past, like, I visited Rome last year. Here, the action visiting Rome is completed and occurred at a specific time last year. On the other hand, the past continuous is used for actions that were happening over a period of time in the past, and often these actions were interrupted by another event. For example, I was reading a book when the phone rang. Here, the action of reading was ongoing, and then it was interrupted by the phone ringing. Now, let's add some flavor to our stories with certain phrases. Imagine a situation that left a big impression on you. To convey this, you might say, "I'll never forget when." This phrase immediately tells your listener that what follows is a memory that had a significant impact on you. For instance, "I'll never forget when I saw the Grand Canyon for the first time." Another useful phrase is, "It was the best, worst day of my life." This phrase helps to express a strong emotional response to a particular event. For example, "It was the best day of my life when I graduated from university." Or, "It was the worst day of my life when I missed my flight." Just remember, these phrases are best used sparingly, as their impact can lessen if overused. Practice is key when learning to use these tenses and phrases. Start by thinking of a memorable event from your past and try to describe it using the past simple and past continuous. Then, see if you can incorporate the phrases, "I'll never forget when," or "It was the best, worst day of my life." With these tools in your arsenal, you're ready to start telling your own stories. Time expressions are crucial for giving your story context. Imagine you're sharing an exciting adventure you had. Without time expressions, your audience may be left guessing when the story took place. Was it last week, last summer, or perhaps when you were just a kid? Time expressions help us remove these ambiguities and give our stories a clear timeline. Let's delve into some examples. If you want to talk about something that happened in the past year, you might say, "Last year, I took up pottery," or "I started learning French a few months ago." These phrases help your listener understand when these events started. Similarly, when you wish to narrate an event that occurred some time back, you could use expressions like, "A few weeks ago, I adopted a puppy," or "When I was younger, I used to love camping." These phrases give us a sense of how recent or distant the events are. Remember, time expressions don't always have to be specific. You can use phrases like "a long time ago" or "recently" to keep things vague if you don't want to give exact times, or if you can't remember them. So start incorporating these time expressions in your stories. They'll not only provide context, but also make your narrative more engaging and relatable. Now that you know how to use time expressions, your stories will be clearer and more engaging. Now, how do we make our stories more interesting and engaging? Well, the first tip is to use descriptive language. Remember, the goal is to transport your listeners into the world of your story. Instead of saying, "I saw a bird," try something like, "I spotted a vibrant, ruby-throated hummingbird, its wings a blur of motion." See how the second sentence paints a more vivid picture? Next, add emotions to your storytelling. This helps your audience to connect with your experiences on a deeper level. Instead of simply saying, "I was happy," you might say, "I was so elated that I felt like I was walking on air." The more you can express your feelings, the more your audience can empathize with you. Finally, building suspense is a surefire way to keep your audience hooked. To do this, you could use phrases like, "You won't believe what happened next," or "Just when I thought things couldn't get any worse." These kinds of phrases build anticipation and make your listeners eager to hear what comes next. Let's put these tips into practice. Imagine you're telling a story about a surprise party. Instead of saying, "My friends threw me a surprise party," consider this. As I opened the door, a burst of confetti showered over me and a chorus of "surprise" echoed around the room. My heart pounded with shock and joy. I couldn't believe what was happening. With these storytelling tips, you can captivate your audience and make your stories unforgettable. Let's recap what we've learned today. We've taken a wonderful journey into the world of storytelling, haven't we? We've explored how to describe past experiences and share personal tales in English, a skill that can be as enriching as it is fun. We started by understanding the basics, didn't we? We delved into the past simple, a tense that helps us talk about completed actions in the past. We also touched on the past continuous, a tense that's perfect for describing ongoing past actions or setting the scene of a story. We then moved on to some truly handy time expressions, such as last year, a few weeks ago, and when I was younger. These phrases are the magic keys that unlock the doors to the past, allowing us to transport our listeners back in time with us. Our journey didn't stop there. We delved into storytelling tips and techniques to make our tales more engaging and vivid. We learned how to use phrases like, "I'll never forget when," and "It was the best worst day of my life," to add emotional depth and color to our stories. But the learning doesn't end here. No, it's just the beginning. The real magic happens when you take these tools and apply them to your own stories, because you have unique experiences and perspectives that the world is waiting to hear. So, I encourage you to practice these skills. Don't worry about making mistakes. It's through mistakes that we grow and improve. Try to describe a memorable trip you took, or a surprising event that happened to you using the techniques we've discussed. Share your stories with friends, family, or even in the comments below. Let others be a part of your journey. And remember, the more you practice, the more natural it will become. Now it's your turn to share your stories in English. Remember, practice makes perfect. Happy storytelling.
Let's learn new words and practice English at level B1. Memorable, something worth remembering because it is special or unique. Example, my trip to Paris was a memorable experience because I saw the Eiffel Tower. Adventure, an exciting or unusual experience. Example, last summer, I went on an adventure to a rainforest, and it was thrilling. Challenge, something difficult that tests your abilities. Example, learning to surf was a challenge, but I felt proud when I finally stood on the board. Describe, to explain or talk about something in detail. Example, when sharing stories, it's important to describe the setting to make it more engaging. Overcome, to successfully deal with or defeat a problem. Example, I had to overcome my fear of heights when I went rock climbing.